Hello and welcome to Decorate It. My name is Mary and this is Wes. And tonight we're talking about JT OBS, Jim Trelikes olive branches. I know a lot of the community, especially the newer people, had no idea that they were JT OBS because Jim Trelikes is the one that actually invented them a long time ago. We were trying to get a time frame when that happened earlier, but it was earlier on in his career whenever he started playing around and came up with that technique. But I personally struggle with them, mainly because I don't have the temperament to sit there and play with it enough to practice it to get it to loop very prettily.
Prettily?
Prettily. We're going to go with prettily tonight, apparently.
Prettily. Okay.
But it really is just, it's almost just looping. I mean, you have your main thread and you've got one that's kind of just...
Well, and I haven't tried it since we talked to Doc Ski about it down in Foley.
Yes, we did.
And got a bunch of pointers, which if those end up working the way they're supposed to, we'll just make a video about that.
And it will be courtesy of Doc Ski. Thank you very much. Who also learned from Jim.
But it all comes down to consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you're doing the same thing the same way every single thread.
Yep. And instead of, like, for me, and for instance, I have a tendency to where I will pull too tight on one.
Mm-hmm. Or try to wrap it multiple times and then run
spin it and it just
slow down,
work
take
good.
your time, keep it consistent.
And definitely sit and practice with it. And there's so many variations now. We've got the saw blades that are happening.
Razor blades.
Sawtooths. There's so many different names, but it's just a variation of the olive branch. It's just taking it instead of doing where you've got one that's looping one way and then having the center line and then another one where it's going the other way, which created the
or doubling
olive
up
branch.
And having it look like it's bigger than it actually is by spacing it out a different way. And
which, to be honest, I'm gonna throw myself out there. It took me forever to figure out how these people were doing such big, fluffy looking olive branches, and I'm like, how are y'all doing that? And come to find out, it's because they did 2 rows of it
in the same direction.
And laid it.
And you can make what looks like M's.
Yep.
You can make N's. You can make W's.
You can do all kinds of stuff. So you can take this variation, this technique, and you can kind of put your own twist on it, if you will. Woohoo, we're going with puns tonight. But
Dad jokes.
Dad jokes, yeah. We're going with dad jokes. You've done a few, but
crappily, but yeah.
It's one thing that neither one of us really had the patience to sit there
because
try.
We didn't know until we went down to Foley at the Mastering Rod Building seminars that what we were doing was actually wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I've watched tutorials. I've talked to people about it, but nobody was ever mentioning being consistent. Like the one thing that Doc was saying was that you always find a place and you bring your hand to that place every single time.
Every time.
And
it doesn't matter where it's at. Just consistency.
And you'll get it quickly doing it that way. And I was like, well, yeah. And I mean, granted, that was in April and it's June now.
And we still haven't tried it.
We still haven't had a chance to try it. But then again, a lot of the rods that I have, I don't need to throw in a olive branch on it because I don't have the room for that.
You could have done it on that fly rod. One little toop.
I could have, but once again, it's one of those like, I never think mine are good enough. I will redo it 1,000 times and get so mad that I'm like, single inlay. I can't. One day I'll sit and actually play with it when I don't have a load on my plate and figure out how to do it.
That tells me that Mary is going to try olive branches in the year, let's see, it's 2024.
When I retire.
He's turning 9. He'll be out of the house 18 to 20. So another 9 years. Maybe by 2040.
You got jokes. That's so funny. No, I will make time to try it. It's one of those things I got to do this year. But anyways, we have a lot of really awesome examples of people that do know what they're doing and have sat down and practice it. And let's look at what the Southern Rod Builders did tonight because they have some beautiful examples. So we're starting off with Abby. This is one thing too. I do not like working with metallic, and some of these people are coming in here just doing olive branches with metallic thread. The good thing about olive branches is that you can do them little itty bitty ones. You can do big ones. Like, you don't have to have a set precedent. You know, It's not like wrapping a spider where it has to look like a spider. You know, like you can kind of make it your own. So kudos to Abby for doing that. Here's another one. This one kind of reminds me, like, I don't know, like a flower kind of thing.
Petals, yeah.
Like petals.
Or thorns.
Maybe a vine, something. Yeah, something like that. It doesn't...
Like the thorns on that tree today.
Yeah, well, we had to cut down a tree earlier today. That was fun. But and she's done the variation where she's done the olive branch, but instead of separating it to kind of create that middle thing, she's run the line right beside it and then did a highlight in between and reversed it back out. And she's got this pretty little olive branch variation. Another thing that has been picking up is doing them in your wraps as well, which I think is just nuts personally. But to me, you'd have to have it on a thread carriage and just be wrapping it the whole time. I don't have the patience for that when I'm doing my wraps. But it looks good, and kudos to the people that do it. Once again, she's done this with metallic thread, and Lord Almighty, everybody knows Mary's relationship with metallic thread. It has a better close-up view of it. Like, it's super clean. And this one, I think, is what, the razor blade style, I think is what it's referred to as.
I think so, yeah. Or saw blades.
Saw blades, whichever one. I feel like they're all just kind of similar, but a little different. Just very clean work from her. There's another one that she's done on a guide wrap. Abby again on her tie-off. Like, just... You can put them anywhere. That's another great thing, tie-offs.
That one's got it in the wrap, too.
Yep, she's got it in the wrap. You can see it on one of those lines where she's run it through there. Like, it adds a lot of... Or she's got it on the pink, too, down at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
It adds a lot of detail to it. Gives it a unique vibe. Another one with gold. I personally would never put them on the guide wraps like that because I don't have the patience to put that on the guide wrap. More for their trim bands. This is Abby again. Beautiful job of matching this up, going up the guides from the trim in front of the winding check to the hook keeper. Abby again, spiraling up the rod with the olive branch. Another one of Abby's. So here's a great, I love that she included this photo. In progress things. I love to see this because you can see how she's winding the thread around. And you can also play around with different size threads. Now, from this photo, I can't say that definitely is a larger thread. It looks bigger than the black. It may not be. Because sometimes when you zoom in, they look bigger than they really are. But you can play around with different size threads. But that's the main line, having the pink wrapping around it. Another version of Abby's again. She's got them going on the tie-offs and going down the wrap. It's like a slightly elongated one on the spiral version of that wrap. Arthur Long. I was really happy to see him put some photos in tonight. He did some very clean work. And that's just a nicely executed saw blade. Like, very nice. Another one of Arthur's. He did this one in gold this time. I just want to high-five people that do this in metallic thread.
High five.
High five. Another one of Arthur's, matching up with that gorgeous acrylic butt that he's got there. Another one of Arthur's. This one's fun because instead of choosing to do the same colors, he switched between white and black and did it opposite. Well, they're both facing the same way, but...
Brings in all the colors nicely.
In all the colors, yeah. It's a nice way to incorporate everything that's in those, what are those called? The camouflage.
Camo grips.
Camo grips. Another one of Arthur's. It's just super clean work from him. Very nice wrap where the hook keeper's going. This one's from Cayman Feller. Just nicely done. Basically, I think that would be a saw blade on the end. He has chosen to kind of do it a little bit more kind of elongated. Still looks good. Another one of Cayman's. Same thing. These are the ones I call the fluffy ones. They look very fluffy.
Floofy.
Floofy. They're floofy. And again, another one of Cayman's doing it on his tie-off. Going opposite. And almost like... If you could do that going like straight up and down the rod, it'd be like a wave. That's what it would remind me of.
That'd be cool.
Like if they weaved it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I challenge somebody to do a weave with one of these in there. Make it look like waves. Chad. Really nicely, simply, that is in its true character how an olive branch typically looks, where you've got the separation, that single line running through it and the other side. That's the style that I absolutely struggle with. And it's not matching up how they sit on opposite sides. Mm-hmm. It's the tension matching up on the opposite sides.
That's that consistency.
Mm-hmm. Chase. This is just pretty. That's a very nicely done saw blade, razor blade. What are we calling them? We're going to go saw blade.
Olive branch variation.
An olive branch variation. Yes, that's the way to do it. And I want to zoom in on his because I want to point out that's not a larger thread. That's two that's been lined up perfectly side by side to stretch it. Originally, I thought that they were like wrapping over two threads going in at the same time, so it would be the longer kind of look. But no, they're lining it up side by side. Christopher coming in with a nice facing each other olive branch variation. I'm just gonna quit naming them saw blades and razor blades because I don't know.
All a variation.
They're all a
of the olive
variation. We're
branch.
just gonna start calling them from now on JT OBS. Another nicely done. So this one actually shows with Chris. He's got the one that's the kind of elongated one, and then he did one that looks kind of like
Arrows almost.
arrows if you're looking at it from one direction, or like, you know, how a plant would be growing, like the two petals at the bottom and the line running up. So you can do different variations of them in your tie-offs and stuff. You can put them on your guide wraps, your trims, wherever you want to stick these things. Another one of Chris's, the fluffy ones. This is raw thread before it's got epoxy on it. Chris shared the ugly side, which I think is a tribute to throwing yourself out there, because nobody really wants to like share their ugly side of stuff. But in the grand scheme of things, he's done really good at like lining some stuff up. But that's how we're going to focus on the olive branch, where you can kind of get a slight little hiccup trying to get it to match up, because you've got to like wrap over the thread to get it completely sealed. But that's kind of how his back looked on that one. Chuck Martin. This one's fun. There's so much going on this, and I love it. First off, that thread that's on the blank here, I guess that's thread. That's metallic thread. Yeah? Or is that glitter?
Like one of those
it almost looks like glitter smashed on there.
holographic
Yeah.
threads.
I just love all the colors in that. Anyways, we're moving on to what we're supposed to be talking about. There is so many different... Focus, Mary, focus. There's so many different variations in this. And I can't tell if that pink and black in the middle is actually him doing olive branches, or is that him... Well, it has to be, because there's not a variated thread that's got that. Right? Mm-mm. I've never seen a pink and black one. So different versions, just little V's. You
just
can
keep doing the same thing over and over and make it continuous.
That's almost like a cheat code with a lot more work, I would think, to making a tiger wraps. But that's kind of like if you were doing it, like, can you imagine if you did the whole wrap like that? How much work? Hella a lot of work. But if you kept spiraling it, what kind of effect it would have? I know. Crazy.
Sounds like you need to try that.
No, Mary doesn't have the patience for that. But somebody else might. These are all fun. Flame keeper rods. Just a cool, different kind of variation of the olive branch, where he's decided just to kind of have them sit a little bit higher at an angle. I also have to give a shout out for the skull, because I know it's there with some roses and stuff, and I wish I could see the rest of it, because y'all know me, I love me some skulls and flowers. This one's fun. So this is also by Flame Keeper Rods, and my best description of this olive branch variation is like a pixelated version. Mm-hmm. I've not seen somebody do something like this before.
Looks like arrows.
Yeah.
Going around that are pixelated.
It's almost Aztec kind of vibe because of the colors that he chose and with the breakup in it, kind of. Or
you should make that in Serape colors.
Oh, how fun would that be? But this is cool. I like it because it's different. You haven't seen anything that looked like that. So it's, you know, he's taking something and he's kind of put his own little twist on it. I'll be here all night, guys. This is Garrett Honecker. I didn't even bother putting a name on it because his signature at the bottom that he puts on his photos is just too perfect for me to like try to cover up with the Havana script that I use. So I was like, I'm leaving it. But his olive branches are really cool. They look really nice and clean. They almost look 3D on this one. Like they kind of perk up a little bit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's very fun. This one's just for you, Wes. Our good friend Jared Taylor. He put this one in there because of this Clemson rod. He did that just for you. But he didn't realize that the actual JTOBs were out of focus because the camera was on the tiger. And I said, it's fine because we can still appreciate the work you did down there. We can see it. Another one in Jared's. Nicely executed JTOB right there.
It's off by one thread, Jared. Just so you know.
You miscounted it, sir. No, like that's cleaner than I've ever done one before. 100%. And I like that he took it and he framed it. The lines on the outside. This one's also by Jared. Cubs rod. He's got quite a few JTOBs on this one.
Guaranteed to never win a tournament with that.
Oh, boo. So these ones are a little bit tighter than we have seen in the other ones. So you can choose to do it this way. You can go a little bit tighter. You can go a little bit more in the middle. Or
Get
you
the
can,
little, like, almost dash marks.
yeah, you can make it look like dashes, like 100% make it look like that. It all depends on your tension. And my problem is I get dashes and floofs and pretties, and then I get aggravated because I got to undo the whole thing. And it's just a whole dilemma with me. Jeff Byrne, another example. This is the ones I call I don't know, they're elongated. These look like flat, like actual leaves to me. That's the kind of how this one looks. And it's just nice. Nicely done. Jim Lewis. Jim has quite a few different examples of JTOBs tonight. And they're all cool and very nicely done. So this is just a great example of how well these things are lined up. And that you can just do whatever you want. Like, we don't have a highlight single thing running down the middle to connect them. You just got them facing different directions. And then in this one, this is also Jim's. This is a great example. You can actually see that this time. So I'm thankful to you, Jim, for posting one that was this close without epoxy. Because you can actually see in this photo how he's taken that and lined up that second row of it to elongate it. Because you can see where the thread is touching. With epoxy on that, it's almost impossible to decipher.
To actually see it.
Yep. So when we talk about, you wrap one and then you go to the next one and you're trying to elongate it, well, now you've got to line up that angle to make it look like it's a continuous thread. I cannot, knowing how I am with olive branches, that's got to be a pain in the butt. And it may be easier. I don't know. But Jim, I want to thank you for answering a lifelong question that I've had of how do you get the fluffy ones? Because I just assumed they were doing C or D. And then I was like, man, that don't look right because it's not laying the way it's supposed to. Another one's a Jim's. Another different style. Really cool. And this is what I mean. Like, it's really hard to decipher once you get the epoxy on there. You can barely tell that that's two threads side by side. Nice epoxy work too, man. Another one of Jim's. He went with metallic this time. Nicely done. Another one of Jim's. So this rod, he just posted this one. He made it for his nephew. He wanted a Spider-Man rod, so this is Spider-Man. And I'm glad that he put the little olive branches on it because it's kind of webby if you have that vibe in the rod. Once again, I'm not putting them on guide wraps because I could not stand to wrap that while I'm trying to wrap the guide.
You wrap the guide first, then go over top.
I would do that, but I would not be trying to wrap it in one single layer. But most of the rods I've been building here lately, I can't put 2 layers on, so they're not getting them on the guides. This is another one of Jim's, yeah. He's sending some, like, super big photos. And I love it because we can see the details really nicely. But once again, just super clean. And this one, it looks like it's a black and a white that's been wrapped at the same time. Good job, dude. Joe Haywood. HFF Custom Rods. First off, loving the aesthetic on this. That's just super fun aesthetic. Like, obviously, I'm going to love this one because it's bright colors and a lot going on that one guide wrap. But very nice JTOB variation going on there. Another one of Joe's. I love that it's got this fade going into the JTOB. This is really a nice, clean. I think white, it seems to be my favorite color to see done with the JTOB so far tonight.
You know my favorite way to do a JTOB?
What?
Black on black.
So that's 50 Shades
Then
of
it
Black.
can't be messed up.
You can't mess it up. That's a whole lot of work for nothing. It's like that wrap I was going to do that was 50 Shades of Black and wrap it with different.
I still think you should do a wrap like that. Just every black
Different,
thread.
yeah. Gather all the blacks on all the companies, and because they're all going to be different,
Yep.
and try to figure
And
out
then
a way to
CP
make
all
it.
of them. And
Try to make a way to make it look like a pattern.
mm-hmm.
That'd be so much work. Anyways, another one of Joe's. I'm going to guess that this is probably that same rod, but still super cute. I love the bright aesthetic. So John Suchin, look at all the little JTOBs going on the tie-offs. We can't just ignore this weave.
Is that a weave?
That's a weave.
Zoom in.
He's the one that was doing all those killer weaves. Look at that. That's awesome. And then he's also carried up the JTOBs all the way up. It's really fun because this is quite a few techniques that Jim was making popular with the little dragon scale and the spiraling of the wrap and then his JTOBs. Like, it's got to be a really cool feeling to have a bunch of people carrying on something that you created, you know?
That's why you share your knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Knowledge shared, not wasted. Another one of John Suchin's. Another thing I'm not going to do is put an olive branch on the tip. Lord almighty. This looks amazing, though. Like, it's done so nicely and so elegantly and so clean. Just, I'm not going to do that, though.
I wonder what that looks like under black light.
It looks like it's almost neon right now, right?
Yeah.
This John Suchin. Very, very nice, clean olive branches with a razor. Now, can you see more that this is a weave?
I can now, yeah.
Dang, that's an awesome weave. Just, I mean, like, all this is awesome. I can't get over that. Look at all the details in that weave. I know we're not even talking about weaves tonight, but dang, John. Skills, man. So this is Jordan's. A lot of really trim bands. We've got the little variation, the JT OB variation right there. And you know what? I gotta throw a shout out here because this is the only other person I've seen do flames that actually looked like flames that was marbling was Lori. And even though it's the gray, that looks like flames. So cool job on that. But nicely done with your JTOB as well. Michael Ward is another one that does a lot of really clean thread work too. I mean, what do you say other than that looks awesome?
What do I say?
What do you say?
You missed a thread.
You always say that to everybody. You missed a thread.
Whether or not you missed one or not, I'm not counting them. I just want you to second guess it so that you double check.
You go back and count them. No, it's so nice.
It looks very clean. Charlotte Hornets.
Another one of it is Charlotte Hornets colors. Another one of Michael Ward's, matching up so nicely with his guides that he does as well. But that's a fluffier version of the JTOB, smaller guide with it. That's so much work on them tiny guides. I don't see how you guys do that. I really don't. The patience of it.
If I was doing those, I'd have to start at the guide ring side
And work
down.
See, if I'm going to put it anywhere on the guide, it's going to be on the under wrap. That's the only place I will put it. I'm not going to do it over the feet and stuff because I like to put my guide wraps. I like to start them pretty dang close to the foot. I don't like them to be elongated. And that's a personal thing that has nothing, I don't care what other people do. But if I'm going to put a JTOB anywhere, and 9 times out of 10 I'm not going to do it because I don't like how mine look, it would be in the under wrap like he's done here. And we've seen this aesthetic, this particular guide before when we were talking about fades and stuff. But it's just, he's got quite a few different examples in one thing here. Another one of Michael Ward's, the variation on it again. Looking like a plant wrapping around. It'd be like the Jim Trelikes vine or something. The JTV. Same thing here. Michael Ward again. That same style. Obviously on the same rod. With the vine look, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And he also put it in this wrap. And when he first posted this, I was like, why are you giving me a wrap? Like, that has nothing to do with it. And then I was like, oh, he did it on the closing scene. One of Michael Ward's. This one, instead of facing opposite directions, is going the same way. Sharon was practicing to see which of the metallics. You can go from the left side and work your way towards where she went away from metallic and was doing the other two. She was seeing which metallic she liked to work with and would behave the best doing it. And she said that she figured out the pro metallics, the premium ones, were the ones that worked the best. You can tell that outside one is what I've experienced if I've ever attempted to try to do one with metallic. It separates, the tinsel comes apart.
Well, and another key factor that we were given this information, I'm going to give it to y'all. When you cut metallic, it is wrapped around a core.
Yes.
What happens when you cut the end off?
It unwraps the...
How do you fix that?
You got to twist it.
Nope, you melt it back.
Oh, that makes sense. Who told you that?
Doc.
I should have figured, Doc.
I
was not there during that conversation.
You just take it and melt it back and put it together, and then it can't unravel.
Son of a monkey. I swear. I would never have thought to just burn it to put it back together.
Just like paracord.
God bless. It's just like paracord. Anyways, so you can see the evolution of her trying it and getting different results with different thread. That's one that she did for a customer. I mean, they all look clean. They all look nice. And then this one, I don't think I picked up the other photo. I may have. But this is one side where she did the trim, and both of the saw blades, if you will, are on opposite sides. Might be this one. Yeah. So this is the same one. But so down at the bottom, it's facing one way, and up
Yep.
at the top, it's going the other way. Another one that she did, once again with metallic. Metallic for me, I think that's kind of the shape that you get because of that tinsel wanting to just not wrap the way it wants.
Try melting it.
I'm gonna try melting it, and we'll try the premium ones. And the other one I want to try is that Fuji stuff, the holographic ones, the Electras, yeah, and see how it does. And then this one in particular, which we saw in the previous, that very first one of Sharon's, she actually has a YouTube video that she was teaching people how to do it. And this was the 2 examples that I think she went through that night with 2 different colors or 1 color. And there are tons of YouTube videos where people have taught. And I implore you to watch every single one of them because everybody's going to have a slight different little technique, and you're going to pick up stuff that's going to work for you. You're not going to like how this works, and you're going to be able to get a whole bunch of information done at once. So anytime anybody is teaching anything, even if I know it, I'm still going to watch it just to see.
They may do something just a little differently.
Yeah, save you some time. Burn the metallic back together. I can't tell you how many of those original spools of metallic we had where I'd cut it and it's just doing this number, and I'm like, why?
Just
try to wrap it back together.
It when you cut it and just take a lighter and.
Like seriously, the simple things. Just that's the stuff that drives me nuts. It's like, how did I not figure that out? And I didn't think to burn the thread back together, mainly because I took all the metallic we had at that point in time and I threw it up against the wall and said I never want to touch this stuff again. I kept snapping it and breaking it and doing all this other crap. Anyways, so for the JT OBs, it's really just sit down, practice, be consistent with your thing.
Patient.
And patient. I love how you cut your eyes straight to me. But be patient. Try different versions. Go try doing the normal olive branch. Try doing the saw blades. Try doing an elongated one. Play around with different thread sizes. I do hear for the most part the Madeira is not the best one to do it with.
So tiny.
It's so small, but you might get really good results if maybe you extend it 2 or 3 threads instead of just having the one. You can play around and come up with something else. I always thought in my head, and I'll throw this out there because I don't care if somebody gets to it before I do because I'm not going to be sitting there doing that anytime soon, but I thought it'd be cool to braid, not just taking it and twisting it, but actually do like a braid and just wrap that thing around there. But I could never figure out how to anchor the 2 without knotting it. But now that I'm talking about it, I just realized how I could anchor both of them. So try braiding it. I don't know. We'll give it to another variation of Gems, or you can say Mary made me do it, because apparently that's the thing now. Alice made me do it, but it's a whole different technique with decorative stuff where you can use it in your wraps, under your guide wraps, your trim bands, your hook keepers. You can put it under the grill seat. You can put it anywhere. You know, it's just thread. Wherever we're wrapping thread, you can put it.
Even if you're not wrapping thread, you can put it there.
You can even do the cutouts. I mean, think about it. I mean, if we take a card out of the paracord thing that we just, where Derek was taking paracord and doing it on his grips, why can't we do that with thread? Why can't we cut a cavity? Obviously, it'd be a lot smaller cavity. Cut a shallow little cavity, wrap it with thread, and encase it with epoxy, and now we've got a decorative wrap that's on our grips. You heard it from me first. I'm just kidding. But this is why we do this show. Think about the stuff that you're seeing from other things and put it somewhere else and try it. See if it works.
It's the worst that happens. You cut some thread.
But you cut some thread. And in the grand scheme of things, thread is fairly cheap. Right? At least that's what you tell me whenever I slice up wraps. I have seen where, I don't remember if it was Jim or for somebody else, but they actually shaded through. It was Jim. Jim has one. He's taken 4 or 5 colors, and it was through the wrap that he did it in, but he went through all 4 of those colors and literally just shaded through it. And I was like, and I'm sure he can do that in 5 minutes versus me trying to sit down and figure out how to do the first line as I'm spiraling it up there. But sky's the limit with it. Whatever you can think of, there it is.
Try
it. So our product of the night tonight is
a handy dandy mouse tool.
Build perfect fly grips and more with the CRB Pro inletting tool. Equipped with 5 interchangeable blades designed for various grip diameters. Just choose the size of blades, chuck it into your drill, and get to cutting. The extended front guide shaft seamlessly fits into the anodized aluminum guide sleeve for clean, precise cuts. Elevate your craft with CRB Pro.
I love that tool.
It's so awesome.
I love that tool. I wish I had had it whenever we had the wood grip that we had to do the inlet for, that you had to sit here and do the Dremel because I bored it off center.
That was a pain in my...
But we used it, well, you did it for the hands-in grip for me, and went ahead and inlet it, and it took you...
I mean, literally 10 seconds.
Like, it took longer to read the directions and get it set up to actually use it, and it was like, this is amazing. So, highly recommend getting one. I heard they're back in stock now because they had sold out.
For now.
I do know that if you can't get it at Mudhole,
HFF.
HFF is selling them as well. So, and they did have them in stock, even though Mudhole was out of stock. So, but they're back in stock. And if you're going to be doing any kind of inletting with your stuff, get one because it's amazing.
Just the one grip you may do, it was worth it.
It's worth it. It's worth the headache instead of like trying to chuck it up to the lathe. And, you know, with mine, I had it all center, so it was going to do. And then the stress of possibly using the drill press, and it was like, nope, I'm not messing this up because that's going to take forever to remake. So good old you sat there and sacrificed 2 hours.
2 hours dremeling that out by hand.
And you did an awesome job. Minus the one little itty bitty chip.
And I didn't get
but
paid
it was
for
okay. We don't eat. Ugh. So I wanted to give a big thank you to Foundation Outdoor Group. We are actually going to be at ICAST in a couple weeks. It's going to be very exciting. I love how you do that every episode. But we're going to ICAST in a couple weeks. Super stoked.
Is it just a couple weeks?
It is just a couple weeks. Like, it's the end of June. It's in like 2.5, like 3 weeks tops. But
you might actually be able to walk around this time.
yeah, because we're going to be Mudhole, American Tackle, and like we're all...
Foundation, all of it.
Well, Foundation is all of us. But like Mudhole and American Tackle is like there. We are all in one little
And you have
unit.
other people that can teach.
Yep. And I'm very excited about going to ICAST because it is so much fun. And I do get to meet up with a lot of people that we only see once a year, you know, and meet people from California. I think that was the coolest thing last year was meeting the 310 Rodworks guys and cutting jokes talking about they were going to ship me their rods for me to wrap. And I was like, I'm done, like sold. I'll do it. I'll wrap rods all day long.
Pay shipping both ways. Like.
Just pay for the shipping, man. Also, speaking of Foundation, be on the lookout for some future upcoming sales that you didn't hear from us, but there might be some. So don't forget to check that out.
Next holiday sale.
Next holiday sale. Wink, wink. You like that?
Wink, wink.
Try to make it big enough the camera can pick it up.
Just wink. Like.
I know. That's weird. I don't know.
Oh my God.
It's weird. Olive branches, JT OBS, originally started by Jim. Thankfully, he was one of those people that decided to hand down his knowledge and teach this how he was doing it. And he had the interview with Bill Falconer on mastering rod building, and you got to learn a lot of history from Jim. And he's been building for, what do you say, 49 years now. Like, people like that. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
People like that come up with something new and they share their technique. They help other people with it, and they don't get aggravated that somebody's, they're doing what I do, you know. They're taking it and they're having a variation on it. Like, I can't imagine how Jim sees watching his little olive branch technique that he came up with evolving into all these other different variations. And now he's also evolved those variations because he was like, I'll just keep playing around with it. But seeing all these people just love this technique and just move forward with it, like, that's got to be really cool. For me, it would be anyways.
Yeah.
And if you know how to do a whole bunch of stuff and you pass on and you never told anybody because you wanted to keep it close to your heart,
You're
it's
gone.
gone. This one guy passed. Nobody could figure out what he was doing. And it's been like 10 or 15 years since this person has passed. They still can't figure out what he was doing.
It's forgotten.
It's forgotten knowledge because nobody took the time to learn it from him. I don't think he was, just not sharing it, but he was doing, I can't remember what it was exactly, but it was gone. And nobody could figure out what he was doing. And so now it's reinventing the wheel, trying to figure out what he did. And it's been 10 or 15 years. And
people will give up on it eventually
Yeah.
and not care anymore.
But for the olive branch, it's really just to sit down and try it out. Get some thread, put it on your tensioner, and start wrapping, and then get whatever inlay you're going to do, and just be consistent with your tension, your pressure, how you're moving your arm, however you're going to do it, and just keep trying different stuff. And just realize that yours might not look like everybody else's. That's okay. Do something that makes you happy with it, though. And try the saw blades, try the olive branch, try the sawtooth, whatever else other variations are out there. Like, come up with your own. Like what I'm gonna use Flamekeeper rods that was in our little picture. I hadn't seen like the pixelated version where it was like the V with the little shit. I hadn't seen that yet. Cool. A bunch of different things that can be done. So
Yep.
do appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight. We always have fun chit-chatting about anything rod building and having the giggles and the humor also passing around on the side.
We appreciate everyone watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment because it helps push these things to other people. If you just sit and watch, great. Give it a share. Even if you share it nowhere, copy the link. It helps. Other than that, everybody have a good time.
Bye.